Welcome to AppleKnows channel. I am Apple, and today I will take you on a journey into Africa, a place where reality itself feels stranger than fiction. I promise you, the more you listen, the harder it will be to turn away, because every fact I share will challenge what you think you know. Let's dive in. Did you know that Africa is the only continent on Earth that stretches from the northern temperate zone to the southern temperate zone, giving it an unmatched diversity of climates, landscapes, and cultures? It holds the hottest place on Earth. The Lut Desert in Iran may challenge it, but the African Sahara has recorded temperatures over 57 degrees Celsius. Yet at the same time, Africa is also home to snow-capped mountains like Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, where you can stand on a glacier while looking down at the dry savanna. Now here's a mind-twisting fact: the Nile River, often called the longest river in the world, runs for more than 6,650 kilometers across 11 countries. But here's the part that shocks most people: in some places along its banks, the land has been continuously farmed for over 5,000 years. Imagine this: people planting, harvesting, and feeding generations in the very same soil since before the pyramids were even built. Speaking of pyramids, many think Egypt has the most pyramids. But the truth is Sudan actually has more. Over 200 pyramids stand in the Nubian desert, built by the Kingdom of Kush. They are smaller and sharper than the Egyptian ones, yet they carry the forgotten stories of kings and queens who once rivaled the pharaohs. Most people outside Africa have never even heard of them. Let me drop another fact that is almost impossible to believe: Africa is home to the largest desert in the world, the Sahara, but it wasn't always a desert. About 10,000 years ago, it was a lush green land filled with lakes, rivers, and animals like giraffes and crocodiles roaming freely. Ancient rock paintings found in the Sahara show people swimming, yes, swimming, where today there is nothing but endless sand. And here's something that will make you pause. Africa contains over 3,000 ethnic groups and speaks more than 2,000 languages. In Nigeria alone, over 500 languages are spoken. It means two people from the same country might not even understand each other without switching to English or another common tongue. This makes Africa the most linguistically diverse continent in the world, a true Tower of Babel come to life. But Africa doesn't just surprise with culture; its natural wonders will shake your mind. Lake Malawi, for example, contains more species of fish than any other lake on the planet. It's a living laboratory of evolution, with fish that have developed dazzling colors and strange behaviors found nowhere else. And here's one more that shocks everyone who hears it: Africa is splitting apart. Yes, right now as you listen, the continent is slowly tearing into two. In the Great Rift Valley of Ethiopia and Kenya, massive cracks in the earth are evidence of tectonic plates moving. In millions of years, a whole new ocean will form, dividing Africa into two separate landmasses. Victoria Falls, a waterfall so powerful that locals call it the smoke that thunders. It is neither the tallest nor the widest in the world, yet it is the largest sheet of falling water on Earth. The roar of the falls can be heard from over 40 kilometers away, and the mist that rises can be seen from almost 50 kilometers. During the rainy season, the spray is so strong it creates a permanent rainforest around it, right in the middle of dry savanna. Now imagine this: in Chad lies Lake Chad, once one of the largest lakes in the world. In the 1960s it was the size of the Caspian Sea, but now it has shrunk by more than 90%. Entire communities who once depended on it for water, food, and trade are left with shrinking shores and disappearing livelihoods. It is a living example of how climate can reshape human destiny in just a few decades. Another shocker is Africa's diamonds. Everyone knows South Africa for its diamond mines, but Botswana actually leads the world in diamond production by value. What is less known is that some of the largest diamonds in history were found here, including stones so pure they look like frozen drops of water. But behind the sparkle lies another reality: diamonds have fueled wars across several African nations, giving birth to the infamous term blood diamonds. And here is something that sounds like science fiction. In the Namib Desert, there are mysterious circles on the ground known as fairy circles. Perfectly round, barren patches of soil, surrounded by grass, stretching for miles. For decades, scientists argued whether they were caused by termites or by plants competing for water. To this day, the debate continues, and standing in the desert, staring at thousands of circles carved into the earth, it feels almost extraterrestrial. Let's talk about Congo. The Congo River is not only the deepest river on Earth, plunging more than 220 meters in places, but it also has rapids so fierce they produce more hydroelectric potential than any other river in the world. If fully harnessed, the Congo could power all of Africa and even export energy beyond. Yet much of its energy remains untapped, roaring through the jungle like wasted thunder. And here's a detail most people cannot wrap their minds around: Africa has the youngest population in the world. The median age is just around 19 years old, compared to 38 in the United States and over 40 in Europe. This means more than half of the continent's people haven't even reached adulthood. Imagine a continent driven by the energy, creativity, and potential of its youth. It is both a challenge and an unstoppable force waiting to reshape the future. But one of the strangest and most terrifying facts lies in Lake Nyos, Cameroon. It looks peaceful, but beneath it lurks danger. In 1986, the lake suddenly released a cloud of carbon dioxide that suffocated over 1,700 people and thousands of animals in just one night. Entire villages were found silent the next morning, as if frozen in time. Scientists discovered that volcanic gases had been trapped in the lake's depths for years until they burst out in one deadly wave. Let's dive even deeper into Africa's secrets that most of the world has no idea about. The further we go, the more unbelievable it gets. Let's start with Mount Nyiragongo in the Democratic Republic of Congo. This volcano holds the largest permanent lava lake on Earth. Imagine a boiling red cauldron stretching over 200 meters deep, churning like a living creature. In 2002 it erupted, and rivers of lava raced through the city of Goma at speeds up to 60 kilometers per hour. Streets, homes, even an airport runway vanished under molten fire in hours. Yet despite the danger, hundreds of thousands of people still live in its shadow. Now here's something almost nobody expects: Africa is home to the oldest human remains ever discovered. In Ethiopia, fossils of Homo sapiens were dated at over 200,000 years old, and some sites even suggest humans lived there 300,000 years ago. This means Africa is not just another continent, it is literally the birthplace of humanity, the place where every single human alive today traces their ancestry. And then there's Lake Tanganyika, one of the Great Lakes of Africa. It is so vast and deep that it contains around 16% of the world's available freshwater. Let that sink in. One single lake holds more fresh water than almost any country could dream of. Its depths are nearly 1,500 meters, making it the second deepest lake on Earth. Inside it, unique species of fish evolved in total isolation for millions of years, and many of them cannot survive anywhere else. But Africa is not only about water and land, it is also home to the Sahara Eye, a massive circular formation in Mauritania, 40 kilometers wide, visible only from space. From the ground, it looks like a mountain range. But from above, it's a perfect spiral carved into the desert. For decades scientists thought it was an impact crater, but no evidence supports that. Some say it's a collapsed dome of rock, others claim erosion shaped it. The mystery remains unsolved. And here's a fact that makes people question history itself: Great Zimbabwe. These are stone ruins built between the 11th and 15th centuries, with walls up to 11 meters high and no mortar used at all. For years, European colonizers refused to believe Africans could have built such structures, inventing myths that they were the work of outsiders. But archaeology has proven otherwise. They were built by the ancestors of the Shona people, masters of stonework who created a city of trade and culture long before colonial powers arrived. Let me shock you with something hidden in plain sight: the Sahara Desert contains more fossils than almost anywhere else on Earth. Entire cemeteries of prehistoric whales and giant crocodiles have been uncovered beneath the sand. In one area, archaeologists found the bones of Sarcosuchus, a crocodile that grew as long as a bus and could swallow dinosaurs whole. Imagine walking across endless dunes, only to stumble upon the skeleton of a creature that once ruled these lands millions of years ago. And now for something closer to the present: in Mali, there is a place called Timbuktu. Many use the name as a synonym for a faraway, mythical place, but Timbuktu is very real, and during the 14th to 16th centuries, it was a center of learning and culture. Its libraries held hundreds of thousands of manuscripts on medicine, astronomy, mathematics, and law, proving that Africa was producing world-class scholarship while much of Europe was still in the Middle Ages. Deep in Ethiopia lies the Danakil Depression, one of the most extreme environments on Earth. Temperatures often rise above 50 degrees Celsius, the ground spits out acid pools and toxic gases, and yet life still exists there. Microorganisms survive in conditions so harsh that NASA studies them as models for what life on Mars or other planets might look like. It is a place where Earth feels alien. Now here's something that will twist your sense of geography. Africa is the only continent that is crossed by the equator, the Tropic of Cancer, and the Tropic of Capricorn. This makes it the only landmass that stretches through all the major climate zones of the Earth. From icy peaks and tropical jungles to deserts and fertile plains, Africa contains almost every environment our planet offers within one continent. And let me tell you about the baobab trees. Known as the upside-down trees, they can live for more than 2,000 years, some even longer. Their trunks are so wide that entire rooms can be carved into them. In fact, in Botswana one hollow baobab was once used as a post office, and in Zimbabwe another served as a jail. During dry seasons, they can store thousands of liters of water inside their massive trunks, making them literal lifesavers in harsh environments. Here's a fact that makes historians pause: Africa was home to some of the richest rulers in history. Mansa Musa, emperor of the Mali Empire in the 14th century, is often considered the richest man who ever lived. His wealth came from gold and salt, and when he traveled to Mecca, he gave away so much gold along the way that he disrupted entire economies for years. Imagine being so wealthy that your generosity causes inflation across continents. And then there's Lake Assal in Djibouti, the lowest point in Africa at 155 meters below sea level. The lake is saltier than the Dead Sea, shining white under the blazing sun, and almost nothing can live in it. Yet nearby volcanic landscapes and geothermal vents make it look like the edge of another world. Here's one more that always shocks people: Africa contains the world's largest desert of stone, not sand. While the Sahara is famous for its dunes, only about 20% of it is covered in sand. The rest is made up of vast stretches of rock and gravel plains, some of which haven't seen rain in centuries. It's a reminder that deserts can be more diverse and alien-looking than anyone imagines. And let's not forget Madagascar. This island split from Africa around 88 million years ago, and because of its isolation, about 90% of its wildlife exists nowhere else on Earth. Lemurs, giant baobabs, chameleons that can change color in seconds. It is like a natural laboratory of evolution, where animals and plants developed along their own path, untouched by the rest of the world. Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania. It's the highest freestanding mountain in the world, rising nearly 6,000 meters straight out of flat plains. What makes it even stranger is its ice-capped glaciers sitting on top of a mountain so close to the equator. But here's the shocking part: those glaciers are vanishing rapidly, and scientists predict they might disappear completely within just a few decades. Imagine a mountain losing its crown of ice after standing frozen for thousands of years. Now let's move to Botswana, where the Okavango Delta creates one of the most unique ecosystems on Earth. Unlike most rivers that flow into the sea, the Okavango spills out into the Kalahari Desert, creating a massive inland delta. Every year, floodwaters arrive from Angola and spread across the desert, bringing life to one of the driest regions in Africa. Suddenly lions, elephants, crocodiles, and thousands of birds appear in a place that would otherwise be barren sand. It's a miracle of timing, and it happens like clockwork each year. Here's something few people realize: Africa has more countries than any other continent, 54 in total, each with its own culture, traditions, and identity. And within those countries are thousands of tribes, each with languages, dances, music, and rituals that can be completely different from their neighbors. It's a continent so diverse that even people who have lived there their whole lives haven't seen all of its variety. And then there's a natural wonder that seems impossible: the singing sands of the Sahara. In certain places, dunes can actually produce a deep humming or booming sound when the sand shifts, like a massive organ playing in the desert. The sound can carry for miles, and for centuries locals believed it was the voices of spirits. Today we know it comes from the vibration of grains of sand, but hearing it in the emptiness of the desert is still haunting. Let me take you to Namibia, where the Skeleton Coast stretches along the Atlantic Ocean. It's called that for a reason: shipwrecks litter the coastline, and the fog, roaring waves, and shifting sandbanks have trapped countless sailors through history. Whales' and seals' bones used to cover the beaches, giving it an even more chilling name. Standing there, with wrecks rusting in the sand, it feels like a graveyard for both men and machines. Here's something that feels like a paradox: Africa has the fastest growing cities in the world. Lagos in Nigeria, Kinshasa in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Cairo in Egypt are exploding with millions of people. In fact, Kinshasa is now one of the largest French-speaking cities in the world, bigger than Paris itself. The future of urban life is happening right now in Africa, on a scale few outsiders realize. And for the final shock in this round, Africa holds some of the world's rarest and strangest animals. Take the okapi, for example. It looks like a mix between a giraffe and a zebra, but it's neither. For centuries, people thought it was a myth, until it was finally discovered in the Congo in the early 1900s. It's a living reminder that Africa still hides creatures the world barely knows about. Let's keep going, because the continent never runs out of things that can blow your mind. Let's talk about Lake Victoria. It's the largest lake in Africa and the second largest freshwater lake in the world. But what most people don't know is that it's so massive it actually influences the weather of surrounding countries. Storms can form out of nowhere above it, triggered by the lake itself. And even more shocking, despite its size, it's only about 80 meters deep on average, making it surprisingly shallow for its scale. Now here's something that feels like science fiction. In the Sahara Desert, ancient stone structures were found that predate the Egyptian pyramids. Some of them are 7,000 years old, aligned with the stars, and may have served as some of the world's earliest astronomical observatories. It suggests that ancient civilizations in Africa were studying the heavens long before much of the rest of the world. And speaking of the stars, let's move to South Africa, where one of the most powerful radio telescopes on Earth, the Meerkat, is scanning the universe. From Africa, scientists are mapping black holes, galaxies, and cosmic phenomena that no one has ever seen before. The future of space discovery is happening right now, on African soil. Here's another fact that shocks people: Africa has the world's largest population of wild elephants, but their numbers have been dropping at an alarming rate. Yet Botswana alone is home to more elephants than any other country in the world, nearly one-third of the entire continent's population. Imagine a single country holding the majority of Earth's remaining giants. Now picture this: the Sahara Desert is expanding. Every year, it grows by thousands of square kilometers, swallowing farmland, villages, and even entire communities. It is a living, growing force, reshaping landscapes and pushing people southward. Scientists call it desertification, but for the people living on its edge, it feels like the desert is alive, slowly devouring the land. Let's move to Ethiopia again, where Lalabella's rock-hewn churches stand as one of the greatest mysteries of architecture. Carved entirely from single blocks of stone in the 12th century, these churches descend deep into the ground, connected by tunnels and passages. Legend says angels helped in their construction because the work seemed impossible for humans alone. Even today, archaeologists wonder how such precision was achieved with medieval tools. And one more that stuns people every time: Africa has more natural resources than almost any other continent. Gold, diamonds, oil, cobalt, uranium, the list is endless. In fact, over 70% of the world's cobalt, essential for batteries in our phones and electric cars, comes from the Democratic Republic of Congo. That means every time you pick up your smartphone, a piece of Africa is in your hand. Let's push even deeper into Africa's mind-bending truths that sound almost unreal but are entirely real. Let's start with the Serengeti migration. Every year, over 1.5 million wildebeest, 400,000 zebras, and hundreds of thousands of gazelles move across Tanzania and Kenya in search of fresh grass. It is the largest animal migration on Earth, so massive it can be seen from space. Predators like lions and crocodiles follow them, turning the plains into one of the most dramatic stages of life and death anywhere in the natural world. Now here's something that flips common knowledge on its head: Africa actually has snow. Beyond Kilimanjaro, the Atlas Mountains in Morocco and Algeria receive heavy snowfalls, and people even go skiing there. Few imagine Africa as a ski destination, but locals know it as normal winter life in the mountains. And then there's Lake Retba in Senegal, also called the Pink Lake. Its waters shine bright pink due to salt-loving microorganisms, especially during the dry season. The lake is so salty that workers collect salt from it daily, wading into waters that shimmer like liquid strawberry milkshake. Standing there feels like stepping into another dimension. Here's another shocker: the Sahara Desert hides entire lost cities. Beneath the sands, archaeologists have discovered ruins of once thriving trade centers that connected Africa to the Middle East and Europe. Ancient maps even show caravan routes now buried under dunes, proof that what is now wasteland was once a crossroads of civilizations. Let me take you to Angola, where the giant sable antelope lives. This animal was thought to be extinct for years until it was rediscovered in 2006. Its horns curve in a perfect arc, sometimes reaching nearly 2 meters in length. For local people, it's a symbol of pride and resilience, proving that Africa still holds wildlife mysteries that can shock the scientific world. And here's one that many people never believe at first: Africa has its own Grand Canyon. It's called Fish River Canyon in Namibia, stretching 160 kilometers long and up to 27 kilometers wide. Standing on its edge feels almost identical to gazing into the Grand Canyon in the United States, yet far fewer people even know it exists. Another unbelievable fact lies in Nigeria. Nollywood, Africa's film industry, produces more movies every year than Hollywood. It's the second largest film industry in the world by volume, after India's Bollywood. Nollywood films are watched across Africa and beyond, shaping culture and identity for hundreds of millions of people. And here's the final twist for now: Africa is so large that most maps actually shrink it. On most world maps, Africa looks about the same size as North America, but in reality it's big enough to fit the United States, China, India, and most of Europe inside it, all at the same time. It is the true giant of our planet, and most people have no idea just how enormous it really is. Most people think the Amazon is the king of rainforests, but Africa's Congo is the second largest in the world, covering an area larger than Alaska. It produces massive amounts of oxygen, absorbs carbon dioxide, and is home to gorillas, forest elephants, and bonobos, our closest living relatives after chimpanzees. Yet this vital ecosystem is disappearing at an alarming rate, making its survival crucial for the entire planet. Now here's something that feels like a paradox: Africa is both the driest and the wettest. While the Sahara is the largest hot desert on Earth, places like Dibuncha in Cameroon receive over 10 meters of rainfall each year, making it one of the wettest spots on the planet. You can go from endless sand to year-round downpours without leaving the same continent. Let's move underground. In South Africa lies the world's deepest gold mine, the Mponeng mine, plunging more than 4 kilometers into the earth. Down there, temperatures can reach 60 degrees Celsius, and workers must be cooled by giant ice blocks and air conditioning systems just to survive. It's so deep that if you stood at the bottom, the weight of rock above you would crush you instantly without the tunnels. And speaking of what lies beneath, Africa is home to some of the oldest known art in human history. In South Africa's Blombos Cave, archaeologists found carvings and tools more than 70,000 years old. These weren't just survival tools, they were symbols, proof that the earliest humans in Africa were already expressing abstract thought long before such evidence appeared anywhere else. Here's another one that sounds almost impossible: the Sahara Desert is full of hidden rivers. Satellite images have revealed vast ancient riverbeds buried under the sand, some larger than the Nile itself. Thousands of years ago, they carried water across what is now wasteland. Today, some underground aquifers still exist, storing fossil water that's been trapped for millennia. Entire modern cities in the desert survive thanks to this invisible water. And here's a breathtaking detail: in Kenya, the Great Rift Valley cuts straight through the land, stretching thousands of kilometers from Lebanon all the way down to Mozambique. Standing there, you can literally see the Earth's crust pulling apart. Lakes, volcanoes, and geysers all mark the scars of this tearing continent. Scientists say in millions of years, the rift will rip Africa into 2 separate landmasses, birthing a new ocean. Now let's talk about the animals again. Africa is home to the cheetah, the fastest land animal in the world, capable of speeds over 100 kilometers per hour. But here's the strange part: cheetahs can only sustain those speeds for about 20 seconds before exhaustion hits. It's a burst of life or death speed that either brings down prey or leaves the cat dangerously drained. Survival here is about explosive energy, not endurance. And finally, one more shocker for now: the Sahara isn't just growing, sometimes it's shrinking. Historical evidence shows that the desert shifts back and forth over thousands of years. It has transformed from fertile grassland to barren desert and back multiple times in human history. What we see today may not be permanent at all. The Sahara is alive, changing, and shaping civilizations as it grows and contracts. This is Apple from AppleKnows, and now we've reached the end of our journey through Africa's shocking truths. From deserts that once held rivers and whales, to mountains with vanishing ice, to cities of stone and libraries of forgotten knowledge, Africa is not just a continent, it is the origin of humanity, a living museum of Earth's past, and a vision of its future. The more we uncover, the more we realize how little we truly know. Africa is vast, unpredictable, and endlessly fascinating. And while maps and headlines may reduce it to a few familiar images, the reality is far greater, a land where history, mystery, and raw power collide every single day. I am Apple from AppleKnows, and I hope this journey left you wide-eyed and hungry for more knowledge. Remember, the world is full of places that hold secrets, but few are as deep and awe-inspiring as Africa. Until next time, stay curious, because reality is always stranger than fiction.